everyone, to another exciting edition of Background Interview. I'm Jamie, your host for this marvelous show where we invite some of the most remarkable figures from across history and around the globe. It's a place to enrich your mind while you commute, do the laundry, or any other task where you can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the conversation. We aim to provide uplifting and insightful exchanges that are perfect for a listen while doing experience. And, of course, we're delighted you're here with us. Recently, I tried making an old family recipe. My grandmother said it would be simple, but as soon as I started, I realized I might as well have been assembling a rocket ship. It was so complicated that I ended up with a whole array of bizarre ingredients on the table, wondering if I'd accidentally started an art project instead of cooking. And guess what? I still somehow managed to burn the salad. But let's talk about someone far more accomplished than my cooking skills. Today's guest is none other than the esteemed novelist Frances Hodgson Burnett. She's known for her delicate yet determined spirit, and she penned some of the most beloved works of children's literature. I'm so thrilled to have her on our show. Let's give a big hand for Ms. Frances Hodgson Burnett.
Hello, everyone. It's lovely to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Please, let's take our seats. Make yourself comfortable. We have so much to talk about.
Thank you, Jamie. I'm pleased to settle in.
Great. Before we dive in, could you share a brief introduction about yourself for our audience?
Certainly. I suppose I should say that I am Frances Hodgson Burnett, originally born in 1849 in Cheetham, England. I am perhaps best known for writing The Secret Garden, though I have also written other works you may have heard of, such as A Little Princess and Little Lord Fauntleroy. I moved to the United States when I was a teenager, and my life's journey took me from modest beginnings to a prolific career as a novelist and playwright. Writing has always been my passion and my anchor, no matter where life has taken me.
That's wonderful. Thank you for that introduction. Now, I've heard a rumor that when you first arrived in the US, you were quite fascinated by the peculiarities of American English. Is it true you collected unusual slang phrases in a little notebook?
I suppose you might say so. It was all so different from the English I knew back home that I found myself jotting phrases down. But in truth, I was more fascinated by the people. They had such energy, and there was a certain charm to the unpredictability of the new world. I couldn't help being inspired by the hustle and bustle.
Let's jump right into our main topic. Today, we want to explore everything about your life, your upbringing, your family, your personal relationships, your trials, your influences, and especially your writing career, the motivations behind your becoming an author, your philosophy on life, and one of your famous works, The Secret Garden. We want our listeners to glean all sorts of wonderful insights from your story. Shall we begin by talking about your childhood and family background?
Absolutely. I was born to a family that, while not impoverished, had to manage carefully. My father ran a business that manufactured iron, and I was only 3 years old when he passed away. That loss changed the dynamics of our family drastically. My mother was left to care for us, and we faced financial insecurity. This uncertainty later influenced my writing. I became attuned to struggles people face, especially children who felt they had to grow up quickly. Eventually, we emigrated to the United States in search of better opportunities.
So early on, you had this sense of instability that might have sharpened your empathy for others, yes?
Yes, indeed. Moving from England to the United States was like stepping into a different world. New dialects, new social expectations, and new ways of looking at life. We settled in Tennessee, and money was tight. I discovered I had a knack for storytelling. Even as a young person, I told stories to siblings and friends. It was a way to weave hope and fantasy into our rather plain and often difficult circumstances.
And that's how you started writing short stories that you sold to magazines to help support your family, correct?
Precisely. It began quite early, as a practical means of earning. My mother encouraged me to send my manuscripts to ladies' magazines. I remember that feeling of excitement and fear whenever I sent something out. There were rejections, but then came my first acceptance, and that small success fanned the flames of my ambition. I realized writing could be both an outlet for my creativity and a genuine way to earn a living.
Could you share one of your earliest failures, perhaps? Something that might have taught you a lesson you still carried with you?
One vivid memory is from when I was writing short sketches and I attempted a much longer, more dramatic piece. It was about a young woman torn between duty and desire, filled with all the flowery language I could muster. I thought it was brilliant, but the magazine I sent it to gave me a crushing rejection. The editor's note was scathing, pointing out the overwrought style and the excessive sentimentality. It stung deeply, but it taught me to refine my narrative approach, to learn from the critique, and to keep the focus on believable characters.
That sense of resilience. Do you think it was a turning point for you, or were there other major turning points in your life as well?
Another significant turning point was my marriage, and later, the birth of my children. Becoming a mother reshaped my outlook on the world. Through parenthood, I saw children's wonder and vulnerability with fresh eyes. This definitely colored the way I approached characters such as Mary Lennox or Sarah Crewe. Another turning point was the success of Little Lord Fauntleroy. It showed me that my stories could resonate widely, capturing hearts on both sides of the Atlantic.
Let's speak a bit about the influences on your writing. Were there particular authors or mentors who deeply affected the way you told stories?
I suppose the Bronte sisters inspired me greatly. There's a sense of strong emotional undercurrent in their works, which appealed to me. Additionally, Charles Dickens shaped my attention to social inequities. Perhaps I was also drawn to American writers like Louisa May Alcott, who portrayed children's lives with sincerity. But truly, my biggest influence might be life itself. Those hardships, those tiny moments of joy that I observed around me. Real events and real people were always fueling my imagination.
You mentioned children's literature. Some might say you pioneered a particular style of writing for children, presenting them not as naive bystanders but as intelligent protagonists capable of profound emotional depth. Did you set out to write specifically for children?
In the beginning, I wrote stories for whoever would read them. But I had a particular fondness for connecting with younger readers because I recall how vital imagination was to me as a child. Children can grasp complexities far more than some adults give them credit for. I wanted them to see themselves in characters who faced real difficulties but found their own resilience.
That makes so much sense. Now, let's get into The Secret Garden. Can you give our listeners a detailed summary of this work? We'd love to hear it in your own words.
The Secret Garden revolves around Mary Lennox, a young girl born in colonial India who is orphaned after her parents die in a cholera epidemic. She is sent to England, to her uncle Archibald Craven's estate on the gloomy Yorkshire moors. Mary is spoiled and initially quite unpleasant, but her discovery of a hidden, locked garden changes her life. She befriends Dickon, a boy who has a way with animals and nature, and eventually, she meets her cousin Colin, who is frail and believed to be bedridden for life. Together, they nurture the neglected garden, and as the garden flourishes, so does their health, optimism, and sense of interconnectedness. The story is about healing, both physical and emotional, and finding magic in the simple wonders of the natural world.
That's so beautifully said. Can you talk about what inspired you to write The Secret Garden? Where did this idea of a neglected garden rejuvenating the lives of children come from?
A large part of the inspiration was my own love of nature. I found solace among flowers and greenery. I believed wholeheartedly in the spiritual and emotional benefits of cultivating living things. My personal losses, heartbreaks, and also the joys I experienced, showed me how the cyclical rejuvenation of nature can mirror our own capacity to heal. I wanted to dramatize that. Additionally, I drew on my time spent in both the old estates of England and the natural beauty of the American countryside. The idea that something forgotten could be brought back to life felt tremendously hopeful.
Indeed, the garden seems almost like a character in itself. What themes or messages did you hope readers would take away from this story?
At its core, The Secret Garden is about the healing power of compassion, connection, and nature. I wanted to show that children have an innate capacity for discovery and growth. Mary and Colin might appear to be stubborn or ill, but the environment of the garden and the relationships they build allow him to blossom. There's also a theme of self-transformation. Everyone has secret places within themselves that need tending, love, and patience.
Do you have a favorite moment or scene in The Secret Garden?
I suppose I love the moment when Mary and Dickon first enter the locked garden. It's as though they're stepping into a hidden realm of possibility. Their cautious optimism and the thrill of discovery capture the essence of what I wanted that garden to represent. Another scene that moves me is when Colin finally stands and begins to walk. It's as if a miracle happens, yet it's grounded in the encouragement and gentle persuasion of friends and the natural environment around him.
Were there any particularly difficult scenes to write?
Writing Colin's early scenes was sometimes a challenge because he could be quite petulant and self-pitying. Balancing his ailments and his emotional turmoil while ensuring he remained a sympathetic character was tricky. Also, crafting the atmosphere of a moor and the changes of the seasons took some effort. I had to call upon detailed memories and descriptions of those landscapes so that the garden would come alive in the reader's mind.
Did you model any of the characters on real people?
Mary Lennox, in some respects, was shaped by bits of myself and other children I observed. Lonely, a bit lost, but longing to belong. Dickon was inspired by individuals I met in the countryside who had such a genuine, almost mystical connection to nature. Colin was more of a composite, representing children who are emotionally shielded because of illness or neglect.
What about the names you chose, like Mary, Colin, Dickon? Was there a hidden meaning behind them?
Not overtly, though I did want simpler, classic names that carried an air of tradition and timelessness. I felt they resonated with the setting. Dickon, for instance, had a very rustic, earthy quality that fit perfectly with the notion of a Yorkshire lad who communes with animals. Mary is common but has biblical associations of rebirth and nurturing, which aligned with her growth in the story.
How was the work received at the time it was published, and what kind of social impact did it have?
It was met with moderate success upon initial publication, especially in magazine serialization. However, it wasn't immediately praised as a masterpiece. Over time, it grew in stature. Children's literature was evolving, and the novel came to be appreciated for its focus on emotional well-being and the redemptive qualities of nature. Some critics saw it as championing children's autonomy and their connection to the environment, which was somewhat progressive for the time. I have been deeply gratified to see how subsequent generations continue to embrace it.
How do you look back on your own accomplishments now?
It's quite humbling. I never imagined my works would remain in print for so long or resonate so widely. I simply followed my passion, writing stories that I believed could uplift and provoke thought. In some ways, I still feel I've only scratched the surface of life's mysteries, but I'm grateful my explorations have meant something to others.
Do you have a message you'd like to share with our audience today, especially aspiring writers or those who love your work?
I suppose I'd say, nurture hope, and let your curiosity lead you. The world can feel harsh, but there's beauty in the smallest corners. If you keep your heart open, you'll find that secret garden inside yourself. Don't be afraid to explore it, to believe in its magic, and to share that magic with others.
Thank you for that beautiful sentiment. Now, we've reached a part of our show where we take questions from viewers. Let's jump right into it. We have a message here from a listener named Victoria. She writes, "Dear Frances Hodgson Burnett, I've always loved your characters. Which one do you personally relate to the most in The Secret Garden? Now, how would you answer that?"
I suppose I feel a strong connection to Mary Lennox, because she starts out so isolated and transforms through her relationships and the discovery of the garden. I can relate to her sense of wonder at this new, hidden place. It mirrored how I felt as a young girl exploring new territories in my own life.
Fascinating. I love how Mary evolves. It's such an inspiration. Next, we have a question from Charles, who is asking for some life advice. Let me read this. "Frances, I'm in a place in my life where I feel like a neglected garden myself. How would you suggest I find my own sense of rejuvenation?"
That is a poignant way to describe it. I suppose my advice would be, start by tending to one small aspect of your life, one area you can nurture, whether it's a hobby, a relationship, or a space you can make your own. As you watch that small space grow and flourish, you'll gain motivation and hope to expand that attention to other areas. Be patient with yourself. Growth, like healing, takes time.
That's so apt. All right, we have one more from this set of viewer submissions. It comes from Jasmine, who says, "I love your writing, but do you ever incorporate any personal spiritual beliefs into your stories?"
My spirituality is often woven subtly into my narratives. I believe in a universal force of goodness and in the healing power of love. You might see that reflected in the way nature in The Secret Garden acts as a channel for renewal and connection. It's not a dogmatic stance, but more of a heartfelt belief that there is a gentle benevolence in the world if we open ourselves to it.
Thank you for answering that with such candor. Now, let's see if we have any questions from our lovely studio audience. Anyone out there want to speak with Ms. Frances Hodgson Burnett? You in the front row, yes, you with the enthusiastic wave. Come on, stand up. I'll just walk over there to let you have your chance to speak. Let me move across the stage. All right, I'm coming over. Hey, folks, don't start a conga line without me. Here I am. Hello, let me switch my position. May I ask your name? Great to meet you, Liam. What's your question? Oh, that's interesting, Liam. So you want to know if Ms. Burnett ever faced criticism for portraying wealthy and poor characters side by side in her stories and how she balanced that. Ms. Burnett, Liam here asks about any criticism you might have faced when writing both affluent and impoverished characters together and how you managed that balance.
I'm glad you asked. When I wrote about characters from different social standings, some critics believed I oversimplified the issue of class. Others appreciated that I illustrated kindness and empathy as bridging differences. My main aim was to show that beneath superficial distinctions, human beings share the same capacity for emotion, love, hope, and fear. Though it may not be a full sociological examination of class, I tried to highlight our common humanity.
Thank you for your thoughtful answer. Great question, Liam. Anybody else? Raise your hand, please. Yes, over there in the second row. I'll come to you now. Just give me a moment while I navigate these chairs, oh my. Hello there, may I ask your name? Nice to meet you, Rosa. So what would you like to ask Ms. Burnett? Fascinating. You want to know if Ms. Burnett ever felt societal pressure to conform to certain expectations about women authors in her era. Ms. Burnett, Rosa here is curious about how you dealt with societal expectations for women writers in your time.
Indeed, there were expectations and biases against women, especially those who wrote commercially successful novels. Some critics deemed our work sentimental, a term often weaponized against female authors. I felt pressure to adapt to certain norms, but I also saw my career as a way to assert my independence. I recognized that financial success and popularity could be a kind of power. So, I persevered, letting my stories speak for themselves and hoping readers would see beyond narrow labels.
Thank you, Ms. Burnett. That's an inspiring perspective, especially for women creators today. Rosa, thanks for that question. Now, we have time for just one more. Who would like to ask? Ah, you there, in the third row. Let me come over. Everyone's eager for the final question. Let's see if I can get there without tripping on these cables. And here we are. May I have your name? Pleasure to meet you, Gabriel. Go right ahead. Oh, excellent question. You'd like to know if Ms. Burnett ever considered writing a sequel to The Secret Garden. Ms. Burnett, Gabriel wonders if you ever contemplated writing a sequel to The Secret Garden, or at least another story featuring the same characters.
I confess the thought crossed my mind. The characters are dear to me, and I did occasionally imagine their lives after the events of the novel. However, I felt the story was complete as it was. I wanted to leave readers with the sense that Mary, Colin, and Dickon would continue to grow, carrying the lessons they had learned in that magical place. Sometimes, leaving certain doors slightly ajar allows the reader's imagination to continue the journey.
Thank you so much. Everyone, let's give a big hand for these fantastic questions. I'll head back to the stage now. And I'm back on stage.
That was wonderful. I appreciate the curiosity and enthusiasm of your audience. It's truly inspiring.
Thank you for taking the time to answer. Now, I have a couple of personal questions for you, if that's all right. Just little random curiosities. First off, if you could pick one place in all of your travels that influenced your writing the most, what would it be?
I suppose it would be the English countryside, particularly the moors of Yorkshire. The stark, windy expanses taught me the beauty of quiet, wild nature. There's something about that landscape, lonely yet invigorating, that I tried to capture in my stories.
That's fantastic. Next, do you have any quirky writing rituals? Some authors must have a particular type of pen or candle lit.
I do love writing near a window that looks out onto greenery if possible. I also keep small trinkets on my desk, pressed flowers, a pretty stone. They keep me grounded in nature, which often inspires my fictional worlds.
Thank you for sharing. Now, how about a quick quiz for our audience? We like to do this to uncover a surprising fact or two. We'll reveal something people might not know about you, Ms. Burnett. Let's do a 2-option quiz, and the audience can vote. Are you ready?
I'd be delighted.
So, here it is. Ms. Burnett had an unusual writing habit. Which of the following is true about her? Option A. She sometimes wrote in full Victorian regalia, complete with gloves and a fancy hat, to get herself in the mood for an elegant scene. Or option B. She wrote while wearing a simple, comfortable dressing gown, because she believed comfort unlocked her creativity. All right, audience. Show me your hands for option A. Raise a fist for option B. Let me see which side is winning. Okay, it looks like more fists for option B, but not by a large margin. Let's find out from Ms. Burnett. Which is correct?
It's option B, I suppose. While I did love nice dresses for certain social occasions, I tended to write in comfortable garments, often something akin to a dressing gown or a loosely fitted robe. I believed wholeheartedly in letting my mind roam free without the constraint of tight corsets or elaborate attire.
I love it. Thanks for clearing that up. This has been an incredible conversation. We've touched on your upbringing, your family, your influences, and of course, the secret garden. You've shared insights about how you shaped your characters, the significance of nature and healing, and what you hope readers take away from your work. Is there anything you'd like to add before we start wrapping up?
Only that I want to encourage people to cherish their imagination. Whether young or old, our capacity to dream and to find hidden wonders, like that secret garden, never truly fades. If my work can awaken that curiosity in someone, I feel I've done my part.
Thank you for those lovely closing thoughts. Let's give a round of applause to Frances Hodgson Burnett, everyone. You've been an extraordinary guest.
My gratitude to you, Jamie, and to all the viewers and listeners. It has been an honor to speak with you. Farewell and blessings to you all.
We appreciate you being with us. Until next time.
Goodbye, everyone.
And to everyone in the audience and all of you who are listening in the comfort of your homes or while you're out and about, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, let's move on to our famous quote corner. Allow me to share a line that resonates deeply with me. Where there is great love, there are always miracles. That quote is often attributed to Willa Cather. It suggests that in the presence of genuine care and compassion, wonders can truly bloom. Some might interpret it as purely romantic, but I see it applied to so many different things: friends, family, personal projects, or even discovering an abandoned garden like in Ms. Burnett's novel. If you pour love into something, you can make it blossom. Of course, I have to be careful not to pour too much love into my cooking, or else I'll end up burning the salad again. We're nearly at the end of today's show. Remember to subscribe or follow Background Interview, and hit that like button if you enjoyed our session. We'd love to hear your feedback on this episode, especially any suggestions on who you'd like us to invite next. Maybe you listened while commuting, or while doing something else, and if you missed any part, feel free to catch it again in our podcast version or replay. Some people even use these interviews as bedtime stories, because the soothing voices help them drift off. There's no accounting for taste, right? Honestly, I've done it myself. And don't forget, we offer this show in multiple languages, so if you're studying a foreign language, you can look for that link in our channel description. It might be a fun way to practice. And if you're longing for some company or a lullaby, well, you know where to find us. Next time, we have an absolutely iconic figure, someone truly famous. I won't say who it is, but trust me, you'll want to tune in. You won't regret it. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been Jamie with Background Interview. Stay curious, stay kind, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye, everyone.